In this video, Dave and I are going to be making a full meal with each element using a little bit of either some winter squash or some summer squash flour. For tonight's meal, we're going to be using different squash flours to make pasta, fresh pasta with a squash flour, as well as tomato sauce, which we are thickening with pumpkin flour.
And 2 desserts. First up, ginger molasses cookies. Delicious and perfect because it's already pumpkin spice for the most part. So we're going to use pumpkin. We're going to start with the butter. It's a lot of butter. We're going to link to all these recipes or put them right in the description for you. Maple sugar. You don't have to use maple sugar if you don't have it. Molasses. Combining the dry ingredients, all-purpose flour, pumpkin flour, and all the spicy goodness in there. That's a whole pumpkin that has gone into this cookie recipe. Cookie dough is going to chill out in the fridge for a little while, let it firm up a little bit so we can make the cookies.
I will start making the noodles. For that, I'm going to start with some all-purpose flour. I'm just going to use half a cup of all-purpose flour. And then I'm going to use the zucchini flour, which I need a 1/4 cup of. So the ratio here is 1/3 of the flour is now zucchini flour. Because this is noodles, and it's going to be an egg noodle, you don't necessarily need the all-purpose flour here for like the gluten, but you have to realize that a 1/4 cup of zucchini is a lot of zucchini, and it's a lot of zucchini flavor concentrated, so I like to still keep some normal flour, some all-purpose flour in here. You could also use other non-gluten flours if you need. So then pull this flour together, plus a pinch of salt, and make a well for the egg. And then now I'm going to knead this flour for about 2 to 5 minutes, this dough. I have water here in case I need to add a little bit more moisture. Zucchini flour is a little bit more of a thirsty flour than the white flour. And when I mean thirsty, it means it can use up a lot more of the water, so sometimes you need to add a little bit more water. I don't think I'm gonna need any of that water. I'll put that aside. So I'm kneading it for 2 to 5 minutes just so that everything hydrates and takes on the water, so it gets to the right consistency. After you've been kneading it for about 2 to 5 minutes, it gets to a really good squishy consistency. You want to throw that in the fridge. I usually wrap it up in some plastic wrap, and you keep it in there for about half an hour so you get it to the right elasticity for running it through the pasta maker.
And now it's time for dessert number 2. We're going to make some cupcakes. Some flour, some zucchini. That is about half of one of those giant zucchinis going in there. Gotta have those chocolate chips in there. You know what? More.
The dough for the noodles is been chilling for a bit, so it's nice and elastic now. Going to cut it in half. And working on a well-floured surface, I'm just gonna roll this out a little bit first. And I'm going to use my handy dandy pasta machine. If you do not have one of these, you can just roll it out by hand. Starting with the largest setting. Okay. Sure it's dusted so it doesn't stick, and then just move down in the settings one by one until you get it to your desired thickness. I'm gonna do these noodles like a fettuccine noodle. I like to use a pizza cutter when I'm cutting long noodles. First I'll clean off the edge here. And then just your desired width. Now, some pasta makers, you'll be able to do this directly with them, but mine is not. It came with one of the attachments, but it doesn't work that well. I find this easier, and it works out better. Try to stay as even as you can in the thickness. And then I drape them over this noodle drying rack until I'm ready to throw them in the water for supper. They don't take that long, so it'll be one of the last things that we do for supper time. Just put these aside until everything else is done.
The cupcakes have come out of their hot layer. Now it is time to get started with the pasta sauce. After that, we'll get the cookies going. The base of our sauce is going to be the tomatoes that we can, whole tomatoes. We like a nice chunky sauce. You can see how much liquid is in there. That is what we're going to thicken with pumpkin flour. A little bit of garlic, a little bit of basil, a little bit of pepper, some oregano. And we'll let that start cooking while we get our cookies ready. All we are going to do is turn this cookie dough into nice little balls, just like so. Roll it around in some sugar. Now you don't have to roll it around in the sugar. This is nice raw, large chunks of sugar. If you're not into the sugar, don't roll it in the sugar. And don't forget, an entire large pumpkin went into this batch of cookies. So I personally don't see anything wrong with a little bit of sugar when you've got all that healthiness.
Oh yeah, all that healthiness.
Yeah.
Not including, you know, the sugar that's already there and the butter.
Well, that was maple sugar. So in our case, it's like triple healthy now.
Oh.
Pop that into the oven and we'll have a look at the sauce. Sauce is looking good. I'm gonna add in some of our frozen celery. It's time to add some of our pumpkin flour in. We're just going to go with about 2 tablespoons. Cupcakes are done. Cookies are done. The chewiest, most tender ginger cookies you can imagine, made with pumpkin.
Dave, so we haven't had supper yet. We haven't had supper yet.
Pumpkin.
Oh. First we need a pinch of salt. And then we can put all these noodles in once the water's reached a rolling boil. Okay, and then stir them up to make sure they're not sticking, which they are not. Then we're gonna cook them for a maximum of 4 minutes because we want them al dente. The noodles are ready. Gonna strain them.
It's very strenuous.
And then we can eat supper.
The pasta is done. The sauce is done. All we need is a little gingerbread on the side. Bon appetit.
Yeah, that's not how it goes, Dave. These come later. This is happiness in a bowl. I'm looking forward to it.
So that is just a few of the ways that we use our squash flour. Till next time. See ya.